why do we have political parties? There's a couple other questions that are related to this. The question is, why do we have politics? Well, we have politics because we have governments. Why do we have governments? This is an important question to seriously ask ourselves. Why do we have governments? The most immediate answer is we have governments so that we can have laws. And why do we have laws? We have laws because we want to have a sense of security. We want there to be laws so that we can feel that everybody around us has agreed to a certain contract, that we've all participated in a general contract with each other, a social contract, in which we've all come to a general agreement there are certain things that none of us want to have to deal with. None of us want to have to deal with somebody attacking us. None of us want to deal with none of us want to have to deal with somebody taking our stuff. None of us want to have to deal with somebody hurting us in any way. And so, motivated mostly through our own collective self-interest, each one of us individually can see that it would be to his benefit to have a social contract that would protect us from these sorts of things happening, and recognizing that there is a mutual sense among us all that the self-interest of any one of us is essentially identical to the self-interest of everyone else. So we all have the same interests at heart. We all have the same needs at heart, the same basic needs. And so out of recognition that we all have the same basic needs and the same basic desires of security, protection, then it is natural, a natural conclusion, a natural reaction, if we are reasonable, if we are able to engage in, if our minds are able to engage in logic, then is a natural result of this that we will all come to the conclusion that there's such a thing as mutual self-interest. That's what we call it. That's what we'll call it. I'm sure somebody else has, but it doesn't sound completely unoriginal either. The concept of mutual self-interest. That since my basic needs are essentially identical to your basic needs, then out of recognition that we have the same basic needs, we can recognize that if we agree to certain basic social contracts designed to guarantee the basic needs of you, it's also likely to provide the same guarantees of my basic needs. And by mutually recognizing this, we can come to the social contract, the agreement that, you know what, it would be to all of our advantages to agree that on the things that none of us want, and to agree on the things that all of us do want. So there's your basis of laws. That's where the idea of laws comes in. And then in order to enforce the laws, we need government. And then in order to define the manner in which the government operates, that's when we have the notion of elections, which is not a universal notion, but it has become more universal in the last 200 or 300 years. The notion of elections, and out of that comes the notion of political parties. I don't really think that there should be political parties, but the fact is that in our system, not only are there political parties, but they dominate. Political parties essentially dominate, bully. I mean, they act like the bullies in the schoolyard. They're bigger than everyone else, and nobody has a chance to stand up against them. That's the reality of the political system that we have as it is now. We have what they call a two-party system in America, and it amounts to two rival bullies who both recognize that nobody else has a chance of standing up against either one of them, and certainly not against the pair of them working in, what is the word, not exactly in harmony, but in Congress. That may be the word, in Congress. Working in, anyhow, working, whatever the word is, it's probably Congress, which would be kind of funny and ironic, only slightly ironic. But the two parties that we have, the two dominating parties, are like these two bullies, and they both recognize, they have a mutual recognition that nobody else that's not aligned with one or the other of them has a chance in hell of accomplishing anything. And that is the dilemma we find ourselves in, particularly when we find that the policies promoted by these two dominant political parties, these two essential bullies of the political system. That's what I'm going to say it right now. The Democrats and the Republicans effectively, in this society, they effectively play the role of two bullies of the political system, in recognition, in smirking recognition that nobody else has the slightest chance of getting around them, and that even if somebody somehow managed to get a toehold for a moment, that individually and certainly as a team, the Democrats and Republicans can quite successfully squash any opposition that is not aligned with one or the other of them. That is the reality, my friends. And that is the real reason why a need is perceived among, you know what, I think the need is perceived among many of us without even necessarily consciously being aware of it, most of us. A few of us are consciously aware of the need for some kind of a party that can possibly give a grain of hope to us, to those of us who do not particularly endorse the approach of the Republicans or the Democrats, those who find neither one of these two evils a satisfactory choice, those of us who consciously are aware of that we are not satisfied with these two choices, are consciously and deliberately aware of the need to maybe somehow come up with our own alternative. That's what it comes down to. Those of us that are consciously aware that we need an alternative to the Democrats and the Republicans, that voting for either one of them is merely voting for the lesser, or more likely the greater, of two evils. And we're hoping not, those of us who are not satisfied with voting for an evil whatsoever, become aware of the need for an alternative party. And I believe there are many people, many more people than the number of people who are consciously aware of the need for an alternative party. There are many more people who go along with the bullies, go along with the dominance of the Democrats and Republicans in our political system, with an attitude of resignation, saying, gosh, what can I do? I'm just one small little person. And even if I get everybody that I know together, we're still just a handful of small little people. We haven't a chance in hell of accomplishing anything against these two giants, the Democrats and the Republicans. So people give in to the sense of futility and resignation. They give in to the notion that resistance is futile. What does that tell you? It tells you that our political system in the United States of America is essentially a collective equivalent to the Borg in Star Trek: The Next Generation. The attitude and the relationship that we as individual human beings, we as individual citizens, are in the same sort of situation in relation to the political system of the United States of America as human beings, or whatever other beings in Star Trek, whether it's Klingons or Romulans or Vulcans or whoever else. We are in the same we are in the same relation to the political system as all the autonomous races of beings in Star Trek are in relation to the Borg. It is a giant collective, a monolithic, oppressive form of conformity, mindless conformity, where the individuality is sucked out of everybody, and against them we feel powerless to resist. And they will explicitly tell us that resistance is futile, that there's nothing you can do. They're the king of the castle, you're the dirty rascals, and you are absolutely powerless to resist, and you will be assimilated. And those people who have given up in a sense of futility and frustration and resignation to the political collective in the United States of America and elsewhere, but I'm particularly focused on the United States of America because I am in the United States of an American. And what's more, in case any of you are wondering, I am a natural-born citizen. I was not born in Hawaii, and my father was not African, and I am a natural-born citizen according to the Constitution of the United States of America. For what it's worth. Now, as I was saying, damn it, what was I saying before I distracted myself with the natural-born citizen thing? Aw, damn it. So I was saying, the collective. Okay, so those of us natural-born human beings who are not willing to allow ourselves to be assimilated into the collective conformity and mindlessness, those of us who are natural-born human beings and wish to maintain our autonomy and our ability to think for ourselves, and do not want to give in to the despair of futility and the notion that it is futile to resist, those of us recognize the need to try to create our own alternative to the major bullying Borg collective of the Democrats and the Republicans. And a few of us are doing what we can to accomplish that. But I think a much greater portion of the population, subconsciously, without being consciously aware of it, are subconsciously aware of the same need to have an alternative, but they've so much given into resignation to the collective, resignation to the notion that they will be assimilated and that there's nothing they can do about it, that they're not consciously aware of the need for an alternative party, but subconsciously I believe most of us are aware of this too.